Do you want to get more familiar with playing on the black keys and all of the different major keys? Let's do choir warm-ups. It's just a 5-finger scale and a triad, and you move up chromatically, starting in C major and then going up to C sharp, D, E flat, E, up 1/2 step at a time. And it really gets you comfortable with each of the 5-finger patterns in all 12 major keys. I'll show you what we're gonna do, and then I'll slow it down for you and explain a little bit, okay? And there we are, we've gone all the way through all 12 of the major keys. So we do a 5-finger scale in each major key and a triad, and that really helps you set up your fingers to understand the music theory of each major key. It's really, really cool. But how do you know which black keys and which white keys to play? It's really simple. There is a 5-finger pattern of half steps and whole steps called a tetrachord that I like to teach and remember with this little hand shape. So we have whole steps here, here, and here, and a half step here. In between your 3rd and 4th fingers, the 3rd and 4th note of the scale are a half step. Everything else needs to be a whole step. So what does that mean? That means that when you start, your thumb goes on the first note, and then your second finger needs to go a whole step away from that. So if your first note is a white note, then you've got to skip a black note and go to the next white note. If your first note with your thumb is a black note, you've got to skip a white note and go to the next black note. So you look not at the base of the keys down here, but you look way up at the top of the fall board, because that's where you can see all of the keys right next to each other. And if you look up at the top of the fall board, at the place that the keys start there at the top, you'll be able to see what's next to what, okay? So you start with the first note, you look at it, and you put your second finger not on the note directly adjacent to it, but one more than that. So that's called a whole step. A whole step is made up of 2 half steps. All right, so between your 1 and your 2, there's a whole step. Between your 2 and your 3, there is a whole step. So we're gonna have a actual piano key in between each of these fingers. Now, between the 3 and the 4, there is no such space. These 2 keys need to be touching each other. Whether they're white or black, they are adjacent, and the easiest way to see that is if you look way up here, they're neighbors, they're next to each other, okay? And then between the 4 and the 5, that's also a whole step. You need to have a key in between there, okay? So, try that out. Put your fingers on the keys and see what I'm talking about. In C major, it's easy because the white notes are right next to each other. You can see up there between your 3 and your 4 that those are connected. They're a half step. But then when you move it up to C sharp and you have all these black notes, how do you know which white notes, which black notes to play? Again, look at the very top of the key, starting on C sharp, and then go a whole step from that. So you're going to skip over the D, which is a white note, and go to the next note, which is a D sharp, okay? From D sharp, you need to go another whole step. So you're gonna skip over E and go to E sharp. We usually call that F, okay? And then from there, remember, these 2 fingers need to be stuck together. So from that E sharp, we're gonna go directly next to it, a half step apart, so close. 3 and 4 are very close together. And then we have a whole step between 4 and 5, okay? Between 4 and 5, we're going to go from F sharp, skip past the G, and go to G sharp. Okay? I feel like I slowed that down so much, you might have glazed over and gone like, I can't even pay attention. So let's try it again in the next place. Let's start on D. So put your thumb on D, a whole step up from there, E, whole step up from there. It's a black note, okay? So from E, the next note next to it is F. That's a half step away, so we need to go up to a black note, F sharp. Okay, so next to that is your fourth finger. That needs to be touching, okay? Fourth finger needs to be touching the third note. So between F sharp, the next note is G. It's directly next to it. Again, check way up here. And then 4 and 5 are a whole step apart. Okay? I hope explaining it this slowly helps you understand the structure of each of the notes, how they fit next to each other. Okay? You always want to have a half step in between these two fingers, and the rest of the notes are spread out. Let's move up. E flat. You're going to do E flat, skip the note next to it, and go to F. From F, we go to G. And then from G, you need a half step because that's between third and fourth fingers. A flat. A flat. A whole step from that is B flat. Okay. Next one is E major. How do you know which white notes and which black notes? You start with your thumb on the white key on E, and then you go a whole step up, which is black, because that is how far it is to get to a whole step. We've got a white key in between there. Now, from this black key, this F sharp, we need to go to the next black key to have a complete whole step. From this black key here, G sharp, you need to have a half step because it's third and fourth finger. They need to be close next to each other. From the fourth finger, we need a whole step, and that one is a white note, a B. So you find your place by putting these two fingers in the middle, the 3 and the 4 together. Then moving up to F. Can you find that pattern? Can you find where the black note is? We've got a whole step, half step, whole step. Major tetrachord. Now, all blacks for F sharp major. A flat major, all blacks except the C in the middle. A major, all whites except the C sharp. B flat. B flat has 2 blacks in it. B flat, C, D, E flat, and F. But your fingers will start to get used to feeling this close relationship between these two. These two, hello. They need to be touching, and the others need to be a little bit farther away. When you're playing on the violin, you actually have a really cool feeling of like the fingers touching, literally touching, to have that half step in a tetrachord. So it's really, really an easy instrument to learn the whole steps and half steps on a violin because you're actually creating those whole steps and those half steps with your fingers. On the piano, I feel like it's a little less obvious because the black keys kind of change the half steps and whole steps, like the distance between them, and it's kind of random. But anyway, enough chattering on. I hope that was a helpful explanation. And I think if you practice these choir warm-ups with your hands, first independently, maybe right hand alone so that you can get those half steps between your third and fourth fingers, and then try teaching it to your left hand and playing with hands together eventually. This is a really great warm-up to do every day. It'll get your fingers warmed up, limber, ready to practice, and it only takes about a minute to go through all 12 keys, and it'll really, really help you with your fluency in music, your ability to read black notes, your comfort in playing different mixtures of black and white keys. So I highly recommend this as a great technical exercise, a theory exercise, just something to really get yourself more familiar with playing in all of the major keys. Just to finish off this video, I'll play through all of them once again so you can hear all of the choir warm-ups, starting in C major, going up chromatically, one key at a time. Ready? That's all. Choir warm-ups. Try it out.